What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Woo!
And today we have a special guest.
Yes,
Our
we
nephew
do.
Randy is in the house.
Woo!
Hello.
What's
Hello,
up, Randy?
hello.
Doing good.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Well, before
Good
we get
stuff.
started, this podcast is brought to you by us, by oppositesattractpodcast.com. Make sure you guys go to our website. When you guys go there, oppositesattractpodcast.com, you guys will be able to see all of our social media. You guys can follow it there. You can listen to the podcast there. You can watch it there. And you'll also see the support the show links where you can help us out by buying things through Amazon. You'll also see Trust Inc., which we'll tell you a little bit more about later. And we'll tell you about Pinwheel and buy us a coffee and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
So-
yes. So
I think a lot of people might be expecting
yes.
us to be talking about the event that we had.
the
So
recap.
maybe we could talk a little bit just to, we had a great time at the event. It was awesome meeting everybody
Yes,
there.
Yes.
And
It was such a great experience. There was the energy was amazing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people there that we personally knew. There were some that we didn't, but most of the part it was family and friends.
yeah.
And so it was a very intimate crowd. And, we were able to really dive into our challenge or our journey, our challenges and our obstacles. But we didn't get into detail of how we overcame those challenges and obstacles. So the future episodes, that's what it's going to be about. We're going to take
Yeah, the
one
next
topic. Yep. We're going to break it down. But overall, it was absolutely amazing. Tickets sold out. We got a lot of good feedback on the surveys. We're also going to read some of the surveys on our next episode. But we got this opportunity today
Yeah.
to interview our nephew, and I am so excited because we decided to title this episode "Don't Allow Your Struggles to Be Excuses for Not Winning." And so, with Randy,
You've been listening to other podcasts or what?
why do you say that?
Because it sounds like you've been listening to other things and you're trying to start them and incorporate them here. That's why the name of this episode is going to... What's up, babe?
Because that's his journey. Like,
It
that's
is.
his story.
Yeah.
My sister, I remember when you were born that the doctors told her that you were not going to live
Right.
after the age of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you are how old today?
27.
27. So
Yeah.
I thought that title fit,
And
what
for-
we're going to be talking about today.
And for everybody that's out there that's listened to our show for a while, you guys know, and Randy's not just our nephew. Randy lived with us for a little while, when he was
Ooh,
younger.
he knows some stuff.
And you guys probably know a little bit about the story, but yeah, so it's special. It's awesome to have you on the podcast today.
And I have always, before we even get into the journey, and this, having you guys around me, and I'm going to make myself cry so soon.
Dude, we're not even 5 minutes in yet.
But having you guys around me brings me so much peace.
Right.
It brings me so much joy because I feel my sister when I'm with you guys. And I remember when Nikki would have her choir practice or her choir performances, and Nito would have his band performances, and you guys, were doing stuff in school and we were invited.
Mm-hmm.
I could not keep it together for the life of me. Right,
Yeah.
babe?
Yeah.
Like, I was just always bawling, and at times I felt guilty because I'm like, why am I here and my sister's not?
Right.
But
That's
then
hard.
I also felt very grateful to be there with you guys
Yeah.
and witnessing especially your guys' growth. I mean, when we were all together, we were all learning together. Would you agree?
Yeah. Pivotal points. Yeah.
That's
Because
for sure.
Audrey was about how old?
She was a baby. She
Yeah.
was
Baby.
she was
Yeah.
1 maybe.
Yeah,
Very small.
right. And then we had teenagers, and it was great. Like, we were excited to have you all, but we were learning with you guys.
Right.
Like, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were praying and
Well, it's kind of like we talk about on this podcast. Usually when it comes to Audrey and Joey and learning the things that we need to learn, it's like we're always a step behind, right?
right.
Imagine
Yes.
like with Audrey and Joey, we have noticed. Like we knew they were coming. We know what's happening as they're growing up. But with you guys, it was just like bam, here you go.
Right.
And
Not
like,
here
we
you
didn't-
go
well-
because we fought for them.
no, it was, but it's like all of a sudden you guys came over
Right.
and we didn't know how to deal with teenagers.
Right.
You know,
So we're going
or
to get
we
into
didn't
that.
ease our way into it.
We're going to get into that
Right.
because I'm sure our audience wants to hear about that portion. Like we're Sonia and Miguel, a bunch of no.
Yeah. We've made mistakes.
Oh, yes, lots of mistakes. I own them. But today I want you to share really like your story, your journey. And, you know, when you were little, I remember going to visit you, you guys, and you were always so happy. You were always so joyful. And I mean, where did that stem from?
I'd say mom and dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not treating me any different than a normal kid, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Did you spend a lot of your younger years? Because you said that you can remember up to age 6
Something
on
like
up.
that,
And
yeah.
that's amazing
Yeah.
to be able to, you know, remember, like have, you know, your memory from way back then. I can barely remember when I was
You're
8.
working on it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on some things. But did you spend a lot of your time in the hospital? Can you give people maybe a little bit of feedback of why the doctors told your mom that you wouldn't live past the age of 2?
I guess with prune belly, it's still, even now, it's just unknown. And the doctors, they weren't really that qualified, and so they just gave like the usual answer.
They were still trying to figure out, I think,
they
right?
like how you guys, when we came along, they were still trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Things are
Yeah.
still advancing. And
Yeah, because I remember, I mean, just today you told me that it's 1 in 40.
1 in 40,000, yeah, births.
have
Wha-
prune belly.
So it's very rare. And so what prune belly, there is another technical term for it.
There's a couple.
And what it is you were born with no stomach muscles.
Amongst other things, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I'm just going to share with you what I remember because I want people to really see that your challenges and your struggles, they were not excuses for you.
Right.
You didn't, you know, the way we see you, like you're thriving. You're so happy and joyful, and you have all this joy within you. And it's like going through what you went through, and to see you today, it's like we have no excuses,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I'll just say, like, since I met you, I mean, I met you when you were a little boy, and
Right.
then you moved in with us when you were 12.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I had first met you, like, I remember you being happy and smiling. And even when you lived with us, like, it wasn't always, you know, great time. I mean, we did the best we could, and we did have a lot of good times. But a lot of times it's just like we were hustling, you know, at that time.
Right.
But you've always been like a happy person. Always,
Right.
you know what I mean? So, like, where does that come from? How do you keep that happy, joyful
Well, why don't
attitude?
we go back to what the situation is, though? You know, with, you know, the challenges, like with him, for instance, you missed a lot of school.
On one occasion, yeah, I missed probably a whole year one time. I had to skip the 7th grade pretty much. And I've skipped the 1st grade as well because of medical reasons. Yeah.
I remember you telling me all the just being on a helicopter in an emergency because
Mhm.
something went wrong
Yeah.
several times.
Well, the one time in the helicopter and then one time in a plane, because at the time we were living in California, and the only doctors that knew about me that were caught up were all the way in San Diego. So when you're in an emergency like that, it's not that
You can't just go to any hospital.
you can't just drive to any hospital. I gotta get picked up immediately and go see my doctors. Yeah.
Aside from the prune belly syndrome, you also had a trach at one point.
Trachea, yeah, when I was younger.
And then you also have a Gtube. So a lot of times your, what is it? Not your health, but your nutrition, you would get through a Gtube,
Yes.
right? So you had all these challenges and obstacles.
And what is a Gtube for people that don't understand exactly or wouldn't know?
Gtube, it's like a gastroenterology related thing. It's like a tube that's inserted through like the abdomen, and you get fed like formula and stuff through it. And usually after the formula is done, they'll have water so that way you get flushed and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing that for over
So
a
it's
decade.
a way for you to get nutrients. So it's like
Yeah.
a tube that's sticking out that you can put formula in and
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Yep.
And aside from that, I remember when you were born and they were telling your mom, like they were like unsure whether you were a boy or a girl.
Yeah, I remember them telling my mom and dad, like, we're not sure, like, if it's up to you if you want to have a boy or a girl, you know, even like the harder question, like if they even wanted to have me at all. Yeah, those types of questions.
Wow.
And so, and we can get into this a little later on in your story, but you know, you've been into several relationships and that's never really, you know, been much, but we can share a little bit about that. But I just want people to know that there were many, you know, challenges and obstacles and things that you've gone through, because on the outside, you look normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But then it's the things that people don't see,
Yeah.
that people don't understand, that, you know, for the most part, you have, until we get other things situated, you've had to wear diapers
Yeah.
since, oh my gosh, you were a newborn,
Yeah.
you know, because you don't have stomach muscles, you can't control your bowels. Yep. So these are things that you had to live with. And then, you know, that's why, you know, it's just amazing to see you grow and be so positive and you know, be so happy and loving and not using your challenges as an excuse.
Right.
So Randy, I'm guessing like from a young age or probably as long as you can remember, you've always known and felt like, well, that you're different, right?
Right.
Not like all the other kids.
Yeah, for sure.
How did you navigate that? Like as a little kid, being different, like how is that? And what did you think as a little boy? You know, how did you deal with that? Was it just like, well, I'm special, I'm just different than everybody else? Because everybody's, I mean, if you really look at it, we're all the same, but everybody's different in their own way.
Yeah, pretty much. I was different in my own way. Not that much from usual kids. I would do like normal stuff for the most part. Anything that was within my capabilities.
Yeah.
You know, besides the usual like nurse visits and stuff like that, and the yearly meetings and stuff to talk about medical stuff.
Okay.
You know, I really don't think that you felt different because of the way your mom raised you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right?
Right.
How was that? What was it that she did that
give us
made it different?
Share with us some things that she would do that made you feel like everybody else.
Just like not being more like out about it, going on, encouraging me to like mess around, like when you would come visit us and I would like show you my scars and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it was something that there wasn't any shame in it, right? Or something to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, this is what it is, you know?
Right.
You know?
Just on the table.
Yeah. So have you ever felt embarrassed about it at all, or
not necessarily. There's been like maybe in 1 or 2 incidents where I was like, okay, it was out of my control. So yeah, I was a little embarrassed, but
because of the situation?
Yes. But besides that, no.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I think that's that's a good, a very healthy way to, to go about it, because I mean, I'm guessing a lot of people might feel like, well, they don't want people to see, they don't.
Right.
But you're just like, I mean, since I met you, I remember it was just like shirts off and you're running around, you know, it didn't matter, and it's like, all right, it's cool.
Yep. And I think that I know that is 100% because of your mom. Because when I witnessed her with you, You know, you were a baby, and I was always very scared, I guess, to take care of you, because if you started to choke, I didn't know how I would respond.
Right.
You know, like there was a lot of time that was given to you because of your condition, right? And it was as if it was just a thing with her. Like it's just, she accepted it.
Yep.
And she took you in, and she loved you unconditionally. And she never, from my, just me on the outside looking in, never spoke to you, or when she would play with you, made it seem as if it was something like you were different.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part, like, I would still roughhouse and play around with Dad and everything as if nothing was different,
And that's why he never really felt different. You knew you were different, like there were some things, but you never really felt different or ashamed. Now, when you started to, get older, obviously, right? You start now things you started to notice more.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Was there a time ever where you questioned or maybe got into a dark place because your thoughts started to take over?
Well, I think everybody gets to a point in time where they have dark thoughts and stuff. It just happens. It just depends on what you do after you have the dark thoughts, right? I just kept moving forward pretty much, with family and friends. My ways of coping and stuff, which either that's music or playing with my friends, games, whatever, it's just.
You're forgetting one thing, Randy.
Which is
you're a poet.
Yeah, I was for a long time. I've taken a little break from that. Just been really busy and stuff, trying to catch up with medical stuff. But yeah, for a long time.
That was huge for you. When you were
Back
going
in the day,
through, like when you were going through, a dark situation, you would write. You would write. Right. And I remember recently reading one of your poems, and I'm like, Randy, you need to do something about this. Like, this should be in a book.
Yeah, I've had friends tell me I should publish some of my works and stuff.
So what's stopping you?
Make a blog or something.
Yeah, I've tried to do that a couple different times and stuff, different ways over the years and stuff. Yeah.
Because I know your heart is helping people.
Right.
And those poems would help people to see things different.
Yeah.
You got something there.
Yeah.
So you were how old when your mom passed, my sister passed?
I was 12 years old.
Okay.
Before we move on to that, but when you were in elementary school, what was it? Have you had to deal with, because most kids, I think, deal with getting bullied and getting picked on, right?
Right.
And on the outside, a lot of them look all the same. And with you, sometimes you can see that there's something a little bit different, or maybe like you have to go to a different class during PE or something like that. So they can see that something's different. And a lot of times with kids, especially, maybe it's almost like animals. When they see that something's different or something stands out, it's like, oh, and then they go start messing and picking. Have you had to deal with that? And how was it like? I guess I don't know if you would know if it was different than
and if
other
so,
bullying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
how
did you handle it?
Well, in elementary school, I'd say June was always there for me. If something like that happened, it was pretty rare because the kids and stuff, it was a small town, so we were pretty much all friends with each other.
Who is June?
Nito.
Just sibling.
June. Yeah.
Oh, just because our listeners are probably like, who's that?
Yeah. But there was a small town, so we all knew each other. They all knew me, and they weren't dumb kids, so like they caught on to me, having my nurse visits and stuff all the time, going in the middle of the class. They would pick up on that and stuff, and they had my back pretty much. And
That's
even good. Like middle school, high school, like they they got to know me and they were there for me and stuff.
Was it similar going from a small town to like out here in the city? Because you went from a small town that didn't have a street light.
California too.
Right.
Like there wasn't a street light. There was a blinking stop sign.
There was like 4 streetlights that didn't work.
And there was one blinking stoplight.
Yeah.
So that's just so you guys know, it's not a very big town, but then you go from there to coming to live with us in Phoenix.
Right.
You know, where it's 4 million people.
Right.
Or more.
Mm-hmm.
So was that any different going to school?
And you were older.
Yeah.
During that time.
Just the size of the schools, I'd say, is different.
But you were still treated similar? Like
Pretty
people
much,
would kind of catch on.
I'd ease into it and people would catch on and stuff.
Look out for you. Yeah. Certain people
the
looking out for you and stuff like that.
Staff as well. They would also. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And it's always been that way.
Pretty much, yeah.
You were such an open book.
Mm-hmm.
You really are. Like he is such, whenever I remember your mom talking to me about this, like because he's so loving and caring, like he was able to build friendships. You've never had a problem building friendships. That's one thing that just came natural to you.
Yeah.
And so you had, even though you had this, you were different and you had this condition, you always had people there to back you up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Randy, what is something that like in school for somebody that grows up with a disability and has to go to school and all that, is there something that you can think of that most people wouldn't even think about that kids with a disability have to deal with in school that might be different that, like for most people, they just kind of go throughout the day?
Well, one example and one instance I can think of is one day at school during one of my classes, my Gtube actually, I guess, was a little worn out. And I guess the balloon popped during one of my classes, and that was a pretty big emergency if that happened. So I had to stop.
The balloon, is that on the inside?
That's on the inside, yeah. It keeps the Gtube from coming out. Okay. And that had popped because they usually do that when they get a little older. And I was in class at the time, so I just had to like stop what I was doing and like I'd tell my teacher, "Can I go to the nurse?" I wasn't like trying to make a scene, so yeah. But I had to go to the nurse and like I had to get mom on the phone and stuff and have them come and bring an extra one.
Wow. I mean, that's something that I don't, for a lot of kids, young kids in junior high school, like it's already hard enough, like people picking on each other and you don't even think about, that kind of stuff, so that you had to be pretty strong mentally and, to just, I mean, kind of like you said, like when something comes up, you just got to figure it out and move forward and solve these issues,
Yes. So when you came to move with us, it wasn't like it was a happy time.
Right.
And it wasn't like it was your choice.
Right.
When that happened, how did you feel towards us? Like, did you feel that did you blame us?
No, I didn't have any emotions like that. Just I guess you can say confused and just scared of like the unknown, right? Because new environment, new area, or at least area that I haven't been in since I was very small.
Did you feel that it was because at that time, were you aware that your dad ended up getting back on drugs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So did you feel any hope?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Were you worried at all? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I've always worried about my dad. Dad's always considered me like his rock, like the person he could always go to and stuff to keep him from going back and doing bad. And yeah, I've always had dad like in my thoughts and stuff and hoping to make a better path for himself.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of change, right? A lot of change. And we really at the time didn't grasp it, because they were removed from one home that there was no stability, right? It's like if you want to go to school, you can go to school.
Right.
You didn't know what really tomorrow bring, right? You were living one day at a time.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you get put into this home. where this is hard because we weren't aware yet. We weren't awake yet. We didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you get put into this home and now there's rules. Now there's expectations. Now there's chores, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we didn't understand fully. I mean, we knew what was happening, but we didn't mentally get
prepared.
Like not even that, but I don't know about you, but there was so much that had to be done, like so many things, like going to pick them up and going to work, and like we had
Figure
Audrey,
out the IEP, the disability, the Social Security, taking you guys to counseling,
all these things. And like one thing that I never really thought about, I mean, it's not something that it took till I got older, but to mentally like think about what people are thinking or what's happening inside their head. At that time, it was like, we need to pick the kids up. We need to get them in school. We need to get, talk to the guardian, the people at the court. We need to do all these different things. And it was like, line them up and start knocking them out. But it wasn't like, man, they just went through something.
Right.
They were living over there with their dad. Now they're moving to another state, living with us. They're starting in a new school. Like mentally, the things that you guys had to process and deal with, like we didn't even, I don't know about you, but that didn't cross my mind.
Right.
Right. So when you guys moved over, it was like you were saying, you can go to school if you want to or not. And then you guys come to our house and it's like, well, in this house, this is how we do things. So get in line. Right. Which, we could have probably done a better job at that. But at that time, we didn't know any different or any better, How
was it for you, Randy?
In terms of
was it like a shock going from that to moving with us?
Yeah, it was a pretty big change and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you go through any depression or, I mean, I just never, I don't know. I didn't get that from you.
Well, yeah, like you said, we just moved to a new state, new schools really rapidly and stuff on top of what, at least for me personally, what I was already going through, condition, medical stuff. Yeah.
And then losing your mom and then being taken away from your dad.
Right. Yeah. Before you guys picked me up, probably like, I don't know, for at least 6 months, maybe to a year, I had picked up a bad habit of like self-harming and stuff. Probably that's how I would say I'd cope then. But I just like, I don't know, just one day like just snapped and I was just, this isn't what I should be doing. This isn't how I should be going about this. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow. So it was just one thing to the next.
Yeah.
Like you were just like, you know what? I don't think this is a good way to handle this or something.
I guess, I don't know, just one day I just woke up and was like, I don't want to do it like that anymore. Yeah.
Is that when you turned to writing?
Writing and stuff. Well, writing is since like, I'd say middle school, I was writing. Yeah. That's when it picked up when I was in middle school.
Now, when you were with us, would you say the counseling helped at all? Or were you just not open or ready to talk yet?
I'd say I was pretty open back then during those visits. Now, looking back, I don't think it helped. But at least in my personal opinion, I know everyone is different. And if you feel like it's your thing, then, you should look for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't. Yeah.
I remember one night we were having dinner. Actually, this happened often. And at that time, we were on a chicken strike. Like, we were eating chicken.
Right. Torturing everybody in the house. Everybody's eating chicken and vegetables.
And fish.
Chicken
but
and
listen,
tilapia.
Okay, you guys, listeners, listen, okay? We were actually working with Randy and Audrey, our daughter, at the same time on teaching them how to eat solids, like solid foods, right? And your Gtube, we took you to the doctors.
I got that removed, so I had to, on top of everything else, I had to learn how to eat solid foods and foods I've never ate before.
But before you came into our home, you were eating somewhat solid. You were eating pizza, which is very solid.
Yeah.
You were eating the things that you wanted to eat.
Yeah, like a lot of pasta and stuff.
Yeah. So you weren't eating things that were good for you. You were eating things that you liked the taste good.
Well, babe.
Let's be honest.
Well, babe. Let's think about it, though. I mean, if you're in a house where you can go to school, whether you feel like it or not, as a kid, you're probably going to be eating whatever you feel like eating as a kid.
Right.
So what the hell is a kid going to eat?
Right.
They're going to be eating pizza. That's exactly what I'd be eating, right? Pizza.
So Randy comes over and we start knocking out these doctor's appointments, and I'm starting to learn. Like Miguel's working, and I'm here with the kids learning, getting into fights with the school because of you had to fight for your IEP.
Yeah.
I had to fight. I got attorneys involved thanks to Legal Shield. I mean, it was a fight.
Yeah.
Then we go to the doctors, and it's, again, getting all your records, trying to figure everything out, calling your old doctors, getting them to send everything over to us. It was a shit show, you guys, okay? On top of that, we were going through court proceedings, trying to figure out what to do with that, right? So we were fighting against CPS. We were fighting against the dad at that time. It was just a disaster, but having you guys around really just gave me peace, as I mentioned earlier, because I felt my sister. When we I remember going to a doctor's visit, and they said he should have been eating solids like more a long time ago. And he told me, and you were there, that I had to force you to do it. Because I told them, like, we've tried with him and he's just not willing. And me, I was the cool aunt, right? Like, I was the one that would take you guys gifts or clothes or school supplies. Like, I was that cool aunt. You were that cool Theo.
You can't say that you were the cool aunt. They got to say you were the cool aunt.
Was I? I was always told I was.
So you can't be like, I was the cool aunt. They got to be like, she was the cool aunt.
Yeah, that's not a title you just give yourself.
You see, man? Don't do it, Randy. Don't do it, Randy.
Be quiet. Okay.
You were the
I'm waiting.
All right, babe. Shit, Randy. You're going to get me in trouble. You better say she was the fucking cool aunt.
Hey,
you taking too long to answer this question.
You're a cool aunt.
I'm going to pay for this shit later.
So, you go from that to now being a parental figure and forcing you to do things that you don't want to do.
Right.
And I remember one time I got into it with your Nana because you were at the table and you were crying. You did not want to eat that chicken or the vegetables. And my mom had told me, your sister would have never made him do that. And I'm sure at that time you were not happy with us.
Right.
What do you have to say today about it?
I don't exactly remember. Like, I think I remember that night specifically.
But how you are today. Because what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? I'd say probably chicken, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was with you guys, I remember I had a birthday and we I forgot, we didn't have any big party or anything. I remember asking you guys
oh, I remember this.
the only thing I wanted was chicken nuggets.
How many?
Yeah.
From McDonald's. We ended up getting 100. Before the 20 piece was around, so you had to get 10 pieces, 10 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was not that bad either. It wasn't that expensive for it. I think it was like less than 30.
I don't know if that was good on the parenting side, getting 100 chicken nuggets for a kid.
We had you a party.
Yeah.
You don't remember wearing a pink tutu?
Was that for the same party? That might have been the year after or something, no?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But I felt so when you came over to visit and you were asking me, can we have chicken? This was recently, and I'm like, chicken? You used to hate chicken. You're like, chicken is my favorite food.
Yeah.
And it made me feel a bit good because, back then it did not feel good to make you do something that you didn't want to do. And you were so loving and caring. And here I am like forcing you to do something and you're tearing and you have such a pretty cry.
Right.
I'm like, I felt so horrible, but it's like, I knew that it was for. It
was for your own good.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty much the same way I think about my medical stuff now. Like a lot of painful things I've gone through, but like the doctors, they say the same thing, and it's usually stuck with me. Like, oh, this might hurt, this might be painful, but it's gonna make you. It's what you need to feel better after. You're gonna be feeling better once you get it done. You're gonna thank us that you got it done, and you're gonna.
And how has that? Have you like taken that in now?
Yeah, for sure.
So when something difficult is coming or something painful or something you don't want to do,
yeah,
that's something you think about now?
That's like, okay, yeah, this might be painful and stuff, but it's got to be done, just like every other procedure, surgery, and everything.
Yeah, that's good.
So Randy is 27 years old.
Don't look it, but yeah, I am.
Right. And he's very nervous about driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say a little bit. So.
Yeah. And so my mom had mentioned that she was trying to get you to drive, and you're like, nope. And I told her, because this was after I told her that when you came over here that we took you driving. And she's like, wait, what? You took him driving? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I've been asking him, and he's like, no, he's not interested. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you, but he came with us. No.
Right. Yeah, you asked me that night when we were at Nana's celebrating mine and Uncle Junior's birthday, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm down.
And
that'll be fun.
Yes. And not only that, but today, what I've noticed, you'll try a food, like something that you've never tried before, or even a drink, like you'll try it.
Yeah,
you'll try it. And whether
once.
you like it. Yes.
That's cool.
And so that there, it's so big for you.
Right.
It is
competitive before, yeah.
Right.
I remember. Well, that was that's how I was raised. I mean, and I don't know if you remember that when you guys were living with us, but it was one of those things like, hey, you may not like it, but you should probably try it. At least try it.
It wasn't should, Randy. How was it?
Or you were going to try it.
Well, you're going to try it, yeah.
It's not like should. So, Randy, do you remember what we would do when you guys would get into some trouble or do something you weren't supposed to do? Or do you remember how we disciplined you guys?
The main way I can remember is probably like reading certain books and like writing essays about those books.
Do you remember the name of the books?
No.
I'm not off the top of my head.
No.
Dude, no. I still have those.
No, that is a no.
I kept them.
Yeah.
Like
I know, you got the reports.
I was going to bring them and I forgot because I kept your clay mask. I kept the clay heart that you made.
A lot of ceramic pieces.
That clay mask, that was one that Randy made?
Yeah, Randy made that.
Yeah.
And the little purple heart.
Yeah.
Randy made that. And then, so I have those book reports. And one of the books that I remember having you read was The Slight Edge.
Yep. I remember that one.
And The Slight Edge talks about decisions, right?
Yeah,
like you're one decision away from.
In business and in life and everything, it's not like, well, I'm going to eat a giant salad today and then I'm going to have a 6-pack tomorrow.
Right.
It's like, no. You like, oh, I'm going to send out, it's the little consistent decisions that you make over time that little by little. Tomorrow is no different than you or anybody else. The next day is no different. But after a month, there's a little difference. After 6 months, there's a little bit more of a difference. And then over the course of your life, the trajectory is just completely different on everything, you know?
So you've been over visiting us lately and you see that the parents that we are today. Okay. And I don't want you to hold anything back, right? Like speak your truth. Okay. What is the biggest difference that you see today in how we parent versus how we did back in the day with you guys?
But before you answer that, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. When you guys go to our website, you guys can listen to it there. You guys can watch it there. You guys can follow all of our social media. You'll see it all on our website. And you'll see a link that says support the show. If you're on your phone and you hit the menu button, you'll see the support the show tab. And when you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. You guys can search for our merch on there. Just search Opposites Attract Podcast. If you search that with the word phone or t-shirt or something, you'll be able to see our merch on Amazon. And if you guys buy it there, it'll help us out. It'll support the show. And also when you click on that link, anything that you purchase on Amazon doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps us out. And when you click on that support the show link, you'll also see a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency. So if you are in the process of purchasing, refinancing, selling, maybe looking into a HELOC, whatever it is, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
Yep. You can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. We're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is the best smartphone available for kids. It has GPS tracking. You guys can see all the text messages, call logs. All the contacts have to be approved by the parents, so you know exactly who your kids are talking to. All the apps are also approved by the parents, and the apps that are available are picked by therapists. They have like their own app store where the parents can go through and pick the apps that they want on the kid's phone, and the phone can grow with the kids too.
Yes.
From the time that they're little, you can put little kid apps on there, and then you can remove them and add bigger kid apps so that the phone can grow with the kids. And you guys can get 10% off of a Pinwheel phone by going to pinwheel.com, promo code OAPTEN, all together, all in caps, and that'll give you 10% off of a Pinwheel phone.
Yes, yes. And if you would like to buy us a coffee or Miguel an energy drink
or a beer or something,
you can go to buymeacoffee/oppositepod.
buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. Yeah, you guys can buy us a coffee there.
Yes, yes.
So what was your question again, babe?
So
about
my
us
question,
parenting.
yes, is, and we gave you a little time to think about it.
Oh, okay.
What is the biggest
That's what that was.
difference?
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference that you see from our parenting from back then to today?
Actually,
what have you witnessed?
It's kind of crazy because the age that you moved in is the age that Audrey is now.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there anything that stands out to you?
Probably crazier before.
Yeah, little.
Yeah.
Well, a lot more crazy.
So can you share that with us? Like, seriously.
Like
Just the craziness. You said it was a lot more crazy back then. What was crazy? What are the things, the environment? Just, yeah.
the environment. Just the way.
How was your Theo back then?
Angry.
His personality. Like, how was he?
stern, strict? Yeah, a bit more angry back then. Yeah.
You're not going to hurt his feelings. This is going to help us.
I remember, well, not with me, I guess, but one memory I remember, I don't know the specifics, but I was in the living room and you were having a discussion with June.
Yeah.
I don't know the context or anything.
I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
June is our...
my sibling.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't remember the context or anything, but I just remember hearing like yelling and like very loud yelling, and I can imagine it was like face to face. It was pretty loud, stuff like that. I remember that specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a moment where I think I overreacted, and it was I think it's because he was a little bit older.
Randy was a little older then.
Yeah. I think he might have, when you moved in, you were 12, so he was 11. So maybe, yeah, something like that. But I think it was one of those where kind of like boys, at a certain point, they start getting older, they start getting bigger.
Oh, I remember now. Okay.
And it's kind of like where before a boy, like when a dad or the authority figure or parent or whatever is talking to the kid, they're just like, all right. But at a certain point, they kind of push that, like, hey.
Right. They stand up. Yeah.
But then also when that happens, then, sometimes the parents, I probably overreacted because I remember doing that. Like there was one time, I'll tell you, like specifically when I was a little kid, my dad, I was getting punished for something, and my dad was like in my face yelling at me. I must have been like 14 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I stood up, and he was like, you better sit the fuck back down. He's like, cause I'll beat your ass like a man. It was like the test, right. Or like you're testing authority. And it's like, well, this isn't your house.
Right.
I think it was that kind of maybe. And
not only that, but back then when we would tell you guys to do something, it was a demand.
Right.
Right. It was a demand.
Right.
And if you had something to say about it, that was a no-go. right? You're talking back.
Yeah.
Do what I say and do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
There wasn't a lot of reflecting back then.
Yeah.
No.
It was just like, let's go.
Not a lot of room for compromise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just, that's the huge difference like I see with us. We give the kids a voice. Right.
Room to compromise, yeah.
Right. We ask
to an
questions.
Extent,
Yeah.
you can't do it all the time. It's
I know,
to an extent.
But
you know what I mean?
But like if Audrey's sick and something's going on and she has something to do.
Well, I don't think we were like that. Like, sick is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think if I was sick, you guys would be like, okay, go mop still.
But there is a
Right.
lot more reflection today. Like if like back then,
There
there wasn't probably
no
apologizing
back then.
after
There was
making.
no I'm sorry for yelling at you. I'm sorry for overreacting.
Probably shouldn't have did that.
Right.
We probably didn't do that back in the day.
Yeah.
It
Do
was
you
like, you
ever
should've
remember us apologizing or anything like that for something that we've done?
No.
No.
Well, we're sorry, Randy.
And I think that like the conversations that we've had, it's like, we did the best that we could with what we knew.
We were all wearing blinders.
Exactly. That's
Yeah, it was
such
new
a
to
good way to
everybody.
put it. We were all wearing blinders. So
Well, it's kind of like we said, like, I mean, with Audrey and Joey, the situation is so different. Like, we could prepare for what's coming. Like, with our kids, we've listened to the books. Maybe we're not so much focused in on like the 15, 16, that 8. I mean, we are a little bit more now with Michaela and us developing that relationship. But back then, it was just like, boom, like we hadn't looked up anything.
right.
And at that time, like we said, there was so much happening that we really weren't looking up stuff. We were looking up other things.
We were surviving. That's what we were doing. We were surviving.
We were looking up other
Yeah.
things, like how to get kids in school, how to get them, to the.
I mean, because there were
all that
times
stuff,
where, you were laid off. Like I wasn't working. I was trying to keep everything afloat in the house. So all the stressors of life sitting on your shoulder, and then this new experience that we're all going through together. I look back then and I'm like, how in the world did we do it?
Right.
Like, jeez, I remember there's times where, we were broke. You guys didn't know that. We never, I don't even think, did we argue in front of each other with you guys back then?
Not really, no.
Yeah, because I don't remember. That's something I've never been for.
I just, no. The only one time I can remember is probably, I think it was about Joey or something when he was maybe just born, still really young. I don't know what it was about, but I just remember like Miguel getting upset and like, having to take a breather, go in the car, have a ride around the block and stuff.
There was no breather. He was pissed and probably marched the hell out. No.
Yeah, probably.
Now he takes breathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of you to say that. No.
Nice.
I'm being a jerk. No.
So I wanted to ask you, Randy, in the beginning of the podcast, babe, you said that, Randy, you weren't supposed to, the doctor said that you weren't supposed to live past 2.
Right.
Right? And had you heard that before? Have you heard that like throughout your life that doctors said that?
Yes. Yeah, I have.
So knowing that, how does, and then like going through everything that you've been through, and I mean, all the successes that you've had, all the times that, things weren't supposed to go a certain way and then they turned out better in your case, how does that affect now when somebody says, well, this isn't supposed to be this way, or you're not supposed to something? It's like, I'm not even supposed to be here right now. So
Yeah.
how could you even say that?
Yeah, I've had doctors in the past that are like that. To where I've had to be the one, saying terms and stuff, getting them educated.
Have you had to do that with a doctor tells you something and you're like, hey, like I've also been told that I'm not supposed to live past 2, but look at me now.
Yeah, it's pretty much the normal thing when I get new doctors. I have to like tell them about it, and they'll have to get my records, like all of them, like from the way back from when I was going to San Diego Children's Hospital.
How about like outside of medical situations when something is supposed to be a certain way? Like, do you think of maybe other things that, like, hey, that's not the only option. There's other options, because you've kind of navigated through those other options that aren't supposed to always happen. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like when the doctor said, like, you're not supposed to make it past 2.
Right.
Well, that's not your experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when somebody says, well, you can't do that, or you're not supposed to do that, or this isn't supposed to happen.
Right.
You know, you've had different experiences than that.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's get into some juicy. No. So, dude, when you were with us, okay, I remember you having the women.
The ladies liked Randy.
The ladies really like Randy.
That's one way of putting it, sure.
What's another way?
Just silly school love, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
Randy, I mean, you have
There's
a
a
great
way
personality.
about, yes.
Like, you know, people like to be around you and, you know, your energy,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's might be the case.
So in high school, when you were with us, I remember you being in some relationships, and it's just great. It was so great, like, to witness, to be there, to see your growth, especially like once you guys were with us for a year and how everything was turning out.
Right.
And with your condition,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
That was there ever a moment where you thought that you couldn't be involved in a relationship?
No, because by that time I was already a part of a group. With
Ooh, what kind of group?
Well, there's a group of similar individuals with my condition and stuff, and you know, people always share their stories and on that group, and I've read through people's stories, and similar people, you know, they've been in long-term relationships. They might not all of them have children, but you know, they've been in long, like 40, 30-year relationships and stuff, happily.
Wow. So, because in high school, you had a relationship for a while.
I had a couple, yeah.
Yeah. Look at him. Yeah. I had a couple. So how did that, obviously you had to have a conversation with them. How did that, to let them know that you were different, how did that conversation go? How did it come up, and how did you feel? Like, were you just like, it is what it is? Like, you know, share with us a little bit of that. This is a relationship podcast, so.
Right. So that was just part of, at least, that was still normal for me just to bring that up. And at that point, it was like, well, you can either accept it or, you know, like, what are we doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's either going to be a thing or it's not.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big deal, and you got to find a way. Otherwise, right, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And they were aware of everything?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
because, you know.
Yeah, because that'd be a weird thing to hide. I'm pretty open about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Partners
That's just
are not.
so amazing. Because you know that there's people, you know, there are kids your age going to the same school that are ashamed of maybe being overweight, or ashamed of acne, or ashamed of being too short.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Right.
And yet here you are just doing it. And I don't hear any shame or embarrassment. It's just like, I am who I am. You're going to accept me, love me, or we can't move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that you got from your mom. Like, from hearing you guys talk, and, you know, just the confidence that you've had, even with all the things that you've had going on.
Yeah, mom, dad, a bunch of my friends from California definitely helped. Right. They've always encouraged me and stuff. They're always there for me. A lot of the friends in general that I had throughout school, they were always really nice.
What's the longest relationship you've had?
Probably like about 4, closing in on 5 years. That was probably the longest. That was back in 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Were there any challenges, or I know the last one,
yeah, it's the one I'm referring to. Yeah.
Right. You've had some challenges, and you've always been so good. Like, I remember back in the day, like when they did something to betray you, or they did something
hurtful.
that yes, like you have always had such a strong spirit. Like, and what I mean by that is that this relationship, the one we're going to get into right now, you were with her for so long, and when she did what she did, you were like, peace out.
Right.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
I trusted you once. I trusted you twice.
Yeah. Like,
Third time, can you give some, some of our listeners maybe some advice on where that came from? Like, how did you go ahead?
It wasn't just immediately like peace out. I'd say obviously I had a grieving phase, and just I don't know. It was just like looking back and everything. It was a really silly circumstance that led up to that. So
You're really going around the bush. You're not giving us no detail, dude.
Of no detail.
You love putting people on the spot, huh?
What do you mean?
Were you in love with her?
Oh, for sure, yeah. You
What?
don't be with someone for almost 5 years and not be in love with them.
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody who was with someone for 4 years that was not in love with someone. So,
well, I don't know. That's my way of when I get into relationships. I'm very old school. It's like if I'm gonna be in a relationship with you, I want to be in a relationship with you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's in for the long haul. I guess I don't know with what happened with my ex. I guess I don't know. She fell out of love, I guess, and instead of being an adult about it and talking, bringing it up, she strayed away and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is love to you? What is love? What is your definition of love?
Being able to share really nice memories with someone you're very fond of, someone that you can open up to in ways that you can't with someone else.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So with her, what was your coping? Because you did go through grief, right?
Right.
What did you turn to?
I don't just music mostly.
Music?
Yeah.
Music. Yeah. Music.
My
games.
usual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Music's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That there in itself, because there's so many people that turn to other things,
Yeah.
right? They turn to drugs. They turn to
There's
alcohol.
there's good ones and bad ones. Yeah.
And you've always been that one that turns more to the positive,
Yeah.
I guess, numbing, the coping. It's more coping, not numbing.
Yeah. Besides that one year, like I said, where I was self-harming. Besides that,
Yeah.
it's mostly been positive.
But that was before you moved in with us, right? That's when you were
That's when I was still in California. Yeah.
you were still in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, you were like you woke up. Like you woke up one day and was like, this isn't right. And I'm done. And you stopped immediately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that case, I mean, she was going through something, and I tried to talk to her. We tried
Was
to talk
this your
to
ex?
her. Yes.
Okay.
And no matter what I said, it was just in one ear and out the other. So I mean, you can only do so much of that before it's just like, well, I tried talking, so now we're just gonna pack up, move on ways.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever think about going back? Was there any moment where you guys were going to try again?
I mean, you're in a relationship for that long, you kind of, a piece of you wants to try and keep it together, try and see if you can fix it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just
at a certain point, I guess.
Turns out weirder than to try and be friends still or try and fix it rather than just moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes it seem just so easy.
Yeah.
Like it's just, the right thing to do, just to move on.
Well, yeah, because I was already past like all the grieving and stuff, and trying to like be friends and stuff. It just wasn't the same when you're already with someone like that for that long.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what has helped you healed from the loss of your mom, and I guess you could say the loss of your dad for a point in time, because recently you had to make a decision. And I'm going to ask you this because I know that there's people that are listening or watching that have a loved one that is on drugs or alcohol. And when you love someone so deeply, because you and your dad had an unbreakable bond.
Right.
For a very long time, you had faith, you had hope that one day you were going to get your dad.
Yeah, I still have hope, yeah.
Right. And recently something happened and you had to make a decision. And I think by you sharing this, like really speaking your truth, it's going to help someone, because sometimes you have to make a really hard decision in order to help that person who may be stuck on drugs or alcohol to kind of wake up in order for them to clean up.
Right.
Do you want to share
And also
that
just
situation
to
or
maybe save yourself, you know, because if you're involved in the situation, like it's hard, like you're living through it too, you know, and sometimes you have to, you know, save yourself in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, you were living with my mom.
Currently am still,
Yes. And your dad was also living there with my mom. And unfortunately, he relapsed.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that time?
Sad, betrayed, hurt, confused.
Yeah.
When the incident happened, he took money from you.
Right.
And this is the money you use for your diapers,
supplies, and
everything that you need.
Whatever I might need, yeah.
And I know that you were broken.
Yeah.
When did you make a decision that because you were going to stay with my mom? Like how was that whole process? What were your thoughts? Why
was it different this time?
There you go.
Well, because it was like you said, like the income that I get that helps me. It was that, right? And usually this is before I would get paper checks and stuff, and then I would go and cash them. But instead, this time, my dad ended up cashing it instead. And it was just more on, I guess you can say, personal level. Because, you know, I thought I could, like, trust my dad to, like, take care of the money that I get.
Yeah, because it's you guys.
Right. Because pretty much, yeah, it was both of us.
Yeah.
And really hurt and stuff, really devastated.
Is it the betray more because it was kind of like, I don't know if maybe he put himself before he put you guys, like before it was like you guys as a team together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was your money that you were getting, but it was like you guys were like
helping each other.
You guys were inseparable. It was like always together, you know? Right. And then maybe it was like this time it was like, well, you didn't really think about us this time. You just kind of did your own thing.
Yeah, in that instance,
Is that kind of what it was?
Yeah, that's probably what it was in that instance.
Yeah.
When I became aware of the situation, like I felt your hurt, because throughout the years, I'm going to say years,
right,
you were not just a son. You were his friend before, I think, a son, because you knew all the secrets. You witnessed everything. You knew when he was doing drugs, when everybody else thought he was clean. You knew your dad. You guys had a friendship.
Mm.
And when that happened, I knew that you were very hurt.
Right, yeah.
And when I heard that you made the decision to stay with my mom and not go with your dad, I knew that it was a decision that was very hard for you to make, but I was also very proud of you.
Right.
You know, because now you have never put yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Always like putting others before me. Just like how mom put herself before everyone else. Yeah.
How your mom put everyone before
Yeah.
herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was her.
Mm-hmm.
That was her. And so I just want you to know that, like, we support you. We love you. We're so proud of you. And I know that with your new, what do you want to call it? You know, like he said, if I'm scared of it, if it's something I'm scared of, then I'm going to do it.
Right.
And if you just focus on that feeling, then you're going to go very far in life. Because I have always told you that you have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I've always told you that I see you helping others, whether it's a motivational speaker, whether it's a mentor or a counselor, like helping kids, helping even, you know, adults get through their own depression, their own darkness, their own, you know, instead of playing victim, play victor, right? Not using, you know, their struggles or their differences as excuses, but using every one of those as a reason why they need to win in life.
Right. Using it as positive energy.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, since the day, I mean, even before that day, but us picking you guys up, you know, we've always just wanted the best for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And even to this day, it doesn't matter. You know, whatever you guys are doing, all three of you, you know, we just want the best for you guys. You know, that's what we've always wanted, even though we maybe didn't do it the right way in the beginning or when you guys were living with us. You know, that's just what we've always wanted for you guys, you know. Mm-hmm. In a way, it's, you guys aren't like that much younger than us, but it's almost like you guys are our kids, and it's weird. It's in a different way, yeah. Right? But that's just kind of how we see you guys, and we want the best for you guys.
Right.
In our last episode, I called you, or I had sent you a text, and I told you that I was reading Joey's journal.
Yeah.
And in there was an entry that you wrote for Joey.
Yeah.
You remember writing that?
Yeah. Once I saw the picture that Tia Sonia sent, I remember. Yeah.
And Miguel and I have always questioned, like, if we did right by your guys' side, you know,
right,
and how you guys felt about us and how you seen us. And when I read that entry, I was bawling. I'm like, I stumbled upon this. I've had it.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool.
I've never read it. And
oh, really? You never read it?
It was the first time.
She just found it like a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Right before our live event. And I read that. And I am, seriously, I'm not even crying. It wasn't tears. I was like hyperventilate. Yeah. Yes.
She had a snot bubble.
And your Theo was crying. I mean, he had his back towards me and turned around and kind of like,
crying.
Nah,
I wasn't crying.
What were you doing then?
I'm just kidding. It was dusty in the house. I had something in my eye.
Yeah, whatever. You were just sharing that it's okay to be emotional. But when I read that entry, I was so, like, it just made my entire year, really, you know, to know that you felt the way you felt.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And you kept it since all those years.
Yeah, before Joey was born.
I know. I remember that day when he was born too.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys were there.
Mm-hmm. Came back from school and you were already in the hot tub, all
having a baby,
howling,
howling at the moon.
Whatever sounds it was, yeah.
What did you think? Oh, you went in and saw your Tia having a baby in the
I
back.
didn't go near the back. I heard those sounds, and those sounds were like, I shouldn't go in the back right now. I don't know what the birth mother was thinking, but yeah, I stayed away.
Joey was literally
He's like, I've heard
pain.
these sounds on
Let me
Discovery
tell
Channel
you.
before. He's like, I ain't going
Right?
back there. And with that,
I know, right?
oh man, we hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Thank you, Randy, for being with us.
Yes.
Hey, before
Anytime.
we get out of here, I know that Prune Belly
Yes.
is something that's very important to you.
It's dear to your
And,
heart.
Yeah.
What is it to make people aware, or so that people can look into it? What is anything that you want to share before we get out of here?
Well, they have a website called prunebelly.org. You can look up members. I'm on that website. I'm a member. It has doctor lists and membership.
Can people donate on there too
You
if
can
they
donate.
like for research and stuff like that, right?
Yes, because they are doing research trying to find out if it's genetical.
Okay.
And they usually do like yearly conventions as well, but because of the Rona and everything, and they haven't done one. They did come to Arizona a couple years ago actually, but I wasn't able to make it.
Okay.
But
we got to get into that, babe.
yeah,
Right.
They do have conventions, stuff like that. Website, Facebook groups.
Okay.
Do you know their website? Off the top of-
Prunebelly.org.
Oh, that's the website.
so you
And
guys
then they
can check
also
it
have
out
a Facebook page as well.
Well, they have I'm a part of a Facebook group, but I don't know the name of it off the top of my head.
Okay.
But that's more like
probably right.
support for your
Yeah, it's
people
like
that
for
have
members
it. Yeah.
that have
Got
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so prunebelly.org.
Very
Prunebelly.org.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep, and you guys can go to oppositesattractpodcast.com like we said before. You guys can follow us there. Anything else, babe, before we get out of here?
That's it. Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast
Where we get better.
together.